Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Thanks for tuning in today. Great to be with you. Glad you take a few moments to catch the show. And we're live. And alive. It's good. And I hope you're having a good week so far. And we invite you to join the conversation always. Please don't hesitate to call. And Dr. Marita Schauch will be my guest today. And she's very good. She's organized and knows what she's talking about. She's a practicing naturopathic physician in Canada, British Columbia. So we'll chat with her. She's an educator for natural factors. And I've known her quite a while now.
How you doing, man? I go to the gym to work out now, and you're running up and down the hall. So
I know. Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm back in the gym. It's my 4th week now. It's coming along. I have the strength of an adolescent boy, but it's a nice feeling.
But you're doing something, though.
Absolutely. It was 1 year, 1 full year that I did not do anything because of the illness. And I came to realize, I had never been out of shape, Gary, for decades. I was always in shape, literally. I worked out 5 days a week religiously.
Did you really?
I never missed. I would be hard-pressed to look at you and with a straight face and say, there were times I didn't go to the gym because I didn't feel like it. I never did that. I can honestly tell you that.
I can tell you that I force myself to go when I don't feel good, and it makes me feel better.
That's
I was
when you should go.
going to actually ask you about that
You
today.
should go. That's when you should go.
So this morning I woke up and I was a little sore.
Right.
Okay. And first thing I did is I got on the elliptical. Okay. I did a mile on the elliptical.
That's good.
Then I did 2 miles on the bicycle. And did you know that my hips and my knees did not hurt when I got done?
That's progress.
Okay. And so
you've lost some weight too, so there's less stress on your joints.
Right.
That's helpful.
Okay.
That's helpful. And you're conditioning your muscles, and that helps manage the movement. Your body, you have to move those bones, right? It takes muscles to move those bones. And you're heavy, so you have a lot of stress on your joints, and you're making progress, you're losing weight, you're replacing fat with muscle tissue. All of those things come together to make you feel better and not to have sort of some of the aches and pains that you typically had before you started all this.
Right.
So you need to continue. I admire you for being able to get up that early and go to. There are only a couple of things I'll do at 4:30 in the morning or 5, and going to the gym isn't one of them.
Yeah, I get it. Listen, I get it every morning. She's like, "It's not time to get up yet," and I go, "Well, it is for me."
Oh, good for you, man.
I have decided, and it's one of those things. I'm going to make that lifestyle change.
Good for you.
This morning, I had for breakfast. I had salad.
Good.
I
just had my sprouted vegan bagel.
There. But I had to put something in I had to put something in the stomach.
You're making changes, right?
Yeah, I had to put something in my stomach.
Sure.
I was feeling
salad is good, but you need some protein. You should get protein with every meal,
right,
if you can. It wouldn't hurt to do a protein shake. That would help.
Right.
I would do that, and just continue to keep your calories at 1,200. That's what we agreed to.
Right.
Gary's on a 1,200 calorie diet.
And if you go to diet.com, if you want to be on, I use diet.com, and it gives you recipes. It gives you meal plans. It's free.
And you're on a plant-based diet for the most part, right?
Yes.
So we made that change. You're eating at a different time. You're eating less.
Yes.
You're moving more. Little changes. It's been up and down.
My belt's getting Shorter.
I saw that. I noticed the other day, I saw that you were able to tuck the shirt in.
Yeah.
That's
because
progress.
I've lost so much weight when I'm on my motorcycle. My shirt flies up. Okay?
You don't
because my gut was keeping it down.
It's all,
keeping it pinched against the gas tank.
all these things that it. See? Yeah. I get it. Yeah. So I discussed this with you on air because there are a lot of people working on a lot of different health projects, whether it's losing weight or they're dealing with some other health issue. And it does ebb and flow. It is up and down. You make gains, you have losses. But you have to try to have some sense of consistency and determination and motivation. And you need a support system. Being able to talk with me, talk with your significant other, and whatnot is helpful. So it's these little changes, these small wins, little things that will ultimately come together and make a difference. So we'll see where you have about 70 pounds to go.
Yeah.
70, 75 pounds. Okay. So
my goal is
225.
I'm shooting for about 225, 230.
Okay. So when we get there, you'll be able. The things that you're doing now are sustainable.
Right.
You'll be able. You'll need to increase your calories. You can't live on a 1,200 calorie diet. This is sort of. I call it an emergency strategy.
Right.
Trying to kickstart some things for you. 1,200 calories, it's calorie restriction with optimal nutrition. That's why I think you need to take a good multiple vitamin and mineral. You need to take probiotics. And if you just took those two things and maybe a fish oil product,
right,
that would be fine. So it's calorie restriction with optimal nutrition. A 1,200 calorie diet that's plant-based, it's going to be fiber-rich. I'm concerned about your protein intake. So that's why I think you can use the one company that we have as a sponsor where they have plant-based protein products. We're gonna cut a commercial for them today.
Actually, yeah.
Right. So that's what you need to do. I'm concerned about your protein. You're trying to you don't want to lose. You're trying to lose fat, not muscle.
Right.
So at the end of all of it, you want to be in a position where you're going to be able to sustain the things that you're doing now. You're not going to be able to live on a 1,200 calorie diet for the rest of your life. It's impossible. You're going to get malnourished. At some point, we'll get you back to a 2,000 calorie diet. But by that time, the theory is, and what I'm hoping, is that your relationship with food will have changed.
Okay, now
you're not going to be eating the foods that you once ate. You're going to be eating different foods and for different reasons, different time, and so on, different purpose.
Me and Angela last night discussed that, or she said something to me that my body is craving more healthier foods. It's weird.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the word crave because I wanted to spend a moment today before our guest comes on talking about food addiction. And there is a debate in the world of nutrition and dietetics about this issue. There's a body of researchers and there's a body of work that says it's real, and others say, not so much. Food addiction. Are you addicted to food? How would you know? Come back, we'll discuss it.
I'm Joy McCarthy, holistic nutritionist, and I expect more from my multivitamin. I've researched many vitamins, and what's truly different about Every Woman's One Daily from New Chapter is that it's fermented with probiotics and whole foods and gentle even on an empty stomach. Every Woman's One Daily helps you feel good every day, giving you immune, energy, and stress support, and nutrients for bone and heart health. You will notice a difference. Every Woman's One Daily recently won the Best Multivitamin Award, and I love that it's non-GMO project verified. Discover the wisdom of nature with New Chapter.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce.
Low self-esteem, depression, panic attacks, increased feelings of anxiety, feeling sad, hopeless, or in despair, increased irritability, especially if access to desired food is restricted, emotional detachment or numbness, suicidal ideation. Well, welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. Those are some of the psychological effects that are reported in the literature associated with food addiction. Now, this is not a clean and clear black and white issue. the truth be told. The literature, if you want to know the truth, in my opinion, is a mess on this topic. And there's a lot of back and forth between and among experts about what is food. First, is it even real? And if you concede that it is, then what is it? And is it food addiction, or is it behavioral, or is it, what is it in its nature? Is it an eating addiction? And then they argue about the terminology. The debate can get complicated and confusing, even for experts. And they compare and contrast that those who think that food addiction is real compare it and contrast it to drug addiction and make an argument that it has the same signs and symptoms and affects the same neural pathways as drugs do. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, version 5, this is the Bible for, it's the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, DSM-5. It's the Bible for psychology. Recognizes food addiction. It acknowledges it. The American Psychiatric Association, when it updated the DSM to the 5th edition, it included food addiction and included the inclusion of binge eating disorder as well. So, it's a real concept. If you have, how would you know? And when you look at drug addiction, signs and symptoms, that list I ticked off, when you start to experience those same kind of symptoms with food, then one could reasonably argue, a therapist could say to you, I think you're addicted to these foods, certain foods. And the food that gets implicated in the conversation are fast foods, loaded with salt, sugar, and fat. You know the usual suspects here, the lineup. You know what they are. It certainly is not going to be broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, green beans, sweet potatoes. No. It's not going to be that group of foods. It's going to be the refined processed foods. Cookies, crackers, cakes, chips, colas, cupcakes, croissants, burgers, fries. And I know people that if you can't go without eating a particular food that the word crave, that is haunting, you got an issue. Something is amiss. And then you have, coupled with the other symptoms that I mentioned. So I saw a story trending this morning about food addiction, and they said some things that I agree with, but it was on Medical News Today, and the headline was Food Addiction, What to Know. When food becomes, and they're right, when your need to eat certain foods becomes a compulsion and uncontrollable, I think you now are in the realm of addiction. I tend to lean toward the side of the argument that says food addiction is real and in many ways is similar to drug addiction. And it is behavioral in nature, and it's also psychological, psycho-emotional. It implicates your relationship with food and your behaviors, your conditioning, your habits, and your personality. I'm sure there's a psychiatrist or psychologist listening that there are certain people that just are good candidates for addiction. given the way they're wired and put together and their background and the way they were raised and whatever issues they're dealing with now, psycho-emotionally and behaviorally. Some people are more of a candidate for this than maybe others. At least that's my belief. And the compulsive behavior can get triggered. There's certain triggers they'll come into play. Stress, despair, anger, feeling put upon, whatever. For different people, there may be different triggers. And people will eat for comfort, eat for psycho-emotional reasons. And their relationship with food is like a person in many ways. It's their companion. It brings them comfort, right? There's no argument. It's very, very complicated. Back, if our guest calls in at the bottom of the hour, I'll ask her to talk about this a little bit. I want to address it some more. This is a big topic.
Battling
Welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition, wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show, and whatever you may be doing. My guest is Dr. Marita Schauch. Dr. Schauch is a practicing naturopathic physician in Canada, and she's also an educator for natural factors and is a regular guest on Let's Talk Nutrition. It's always nice to have her on board. Dr. Schauch, welcome to the show. Thank you for getting up so early. I know there's a big time difference. We appreciate your yeoman's work.
No problem. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. I was talking about food addiction, and I wanted, before I say anything else about it, I was curious as to, in your practice, does the issue of food addiction come up? Do you believe food addiction is real? Do you think that, I think there's a lot of conceptual confusion in the literature about it. And a lot of back and forth, those that believe that it's real, those who don't, and whatnot. And they argue over terminology and so on. But I was curious as to your thoughts and how or in what ways it may arise in your day-to-day practice with real humans with real issues.
That's actually a really good question, and actually pretty good timing, just because I'm just thinking about a particular patient that I saw yesterday with this particular issue, and yeah, I definitely think it is real, and I think it comes in different forms. And this particular young man that I saw yesterday, he's in his late 20s. I think he's in his late 20s, early 30s. Just finished law school, and stress of being, exams and things like that, and figuring out where his career is going. He ended up, turning to food for comfort and to help him cope with stress. And right now, I mean, he just graduated, but he's still kind of stuck in that ritual, and he's not quite sure how to get out of it. And he said, his attitude is, well, if I go out for breakfast and I get a big breakfast sandwich, he thinks of that as like, okay, well, the day's ruined already, so I might as well, just eat whatever I want for the rest of the day.
Did he express compulsivity? That he has a compulsion for certain foods, that he just can't help himself?
Absolutely, and he said that it's worse, when he's feeling anxious. So he does have underlying anxiety as well. So when he has anxiety at work, or he feels like his nervous system is being triggered, so he's stressed. Yeah, he has this craving for. All I want are is cheese and bread.
Cheese and bread.
Easy bread sandwiches. So he came to see me yesterday, and I hadn't seen him for a while. I hadn't seen him for about a year and a half.
Is he obese or overweight?
He's, to look at him, you wouldn't think he's obese, but he is overweight. But from what I remember of him, he was a very, very slender, fit individual. And so he's probably carrying definitely an extra, like 50 to 60 pounds, if not more.
Oof.
And I mean, the biggest thing too is he just feels awful all the time, right? He's low energy, and he's not sleeping great, and he said, I just want to. He's like, yes, I know I need to lose a little weight, but he said, I just want to feel clear in my brain, and I just want to feel better. So it's really tricky, because for these people, you can't just say, oh, we'll just start making a smoothie in the morning, or just just go to the grocery store and start buying vegetables.
Yeah, that's like saying to a drug addict, just say no.
Yeah, you saw where that worked.
That doesn't work so well. I mean, it's not going to work. Or, you're trying to find a substitute for these things that he's craving compulsively, and uncontrollability. And, there are a lot of different, that sometimes people will hide food. They will keep it, they're binge eating from their partner. It becomes very secretive. These are signs and symptoms of an addiction, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you refer him out to a therapist or no? Or do you think that's necessary?
Yes, so we did have a discussion about that. And he's, what we did talk about is he had already looked into some strategies, and we talked about kind of setting up a plan. Like, instead of him just leaving my office and just saying, okay, we'll just start eating healthy tomorrow, we kind of set up this plan where he has, it's almost like a goal journal, but it's related to food. And so we sort of set out, some really easy strategies to start with. So, for example, like, his biggest thing is, right now, is eating out. So he eats out like 5 times a week or something like that. And, like, eating out is extremely difficult to eat healthy if you know where to go. But that's where he eats, his sandwiches and bread and cheese.
A restaurant, and metaphor that I could use here, a restaurant is similar to, for a food addict, is similar to, what do you call those, Gary, where they go in these houses, shooting gallery?
Like a dealer. A restaurant for me is like going to visit my dealer.
No, they will go in the neighborhoods. They have a place.
Crack house.
A crack house, or they call it a shooting gallery. They shoot up. It's similar, because that's where they go to do their deed, right?
Right.
That's the environment. Yeah. So that's the last place he needs to be, is in a restaurant, it would seem to me.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was one of our strategies was, okay, well, why don't you try to, like, instead of eating out 5 times a week, why don't we kind of try to see if you can just do 3 times a week? But then I gave him a list of, so luckily he works like right in the city. So there's a plethora of restaurants, good, but then there's a lot of like bad and like not great restaurants, but then there's a lot of really healthy restaurants. Then I gave him a list of, like, okay, these are the restaurants. If you're going to go to a restaurant, these are the ones that I would like you to choose. And let's see if you can just, do it 3 times a week instead of 5 times a week. And then I gave him a list of websites and recipes and other ideas to go look into over the weekend, just to sort of plan for the next week. But I mean, it's going to be a process, right? It's not going to be. This isn't overnight. Like, I'm just going to switch him back. But I mean, the good news is that he knows how to eat healthy because he did it before.
Right?
Like before, 2 years ago when I saw him.
Well, when we come back, we'll spend a few more moments on it. But it's an important health issue, and may even have
Don't
an answer.
be stressed out or anxious. Take hemp
Well, are Oreos just as addictive as opioids? Maybe that's a leap too far. Welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. Thanks for tuning in today. My guest is Dr. Marita Schauch. Just chatting for a moment with her about, I wanted her take on food addiction because she's in clinical practice. She's dealing with patients every day. And being a naturopathic physician, a great portion of their training is in nutrition, diet and nutrition. That's one of the distinguishing features of that particular degree and background and training. Dr. Schauch, welcome back. The argument that food addiction is plausible is because the brain pathways that have evolved over time in our species respond to natural rewards, are activated by certain foods and by certain drugs. The same neural pathways. Sugar, when you look at the literature, and it's vast and confusing, sugar is discussed, and it is noteworthy to bring it up, as a substance that release opioids and dopamine in the brain, and therefore one could reasonably argue or hypothesize that it has addictive potential. How do you respond to that?
Well,
is that too much? Is that going too far for you?
no. I mean, I think I've read many articles and discussed this topic with colleagues. So that theory is not like far-fetched for me.
Mm-hmm.
And
me either. Me either, by the way. But go ahead.
Yeah, and I think even those types of, like what you just described to me, I mean, that's what a lot of my patients who do have food addictions describe to, like that's what they describe to me, is that, you know, it makes them feel good and it makes them like in the moment, right? They know like long term that it's not making them feel healthy and it's not, you know, it's damaging their body. But in the moment when they're stressed and they're feeling down or they need something to pick them up, they know that it's stimulating those centers in their brain to make them want more, but also to make them feel satisfied.
I have a friend of mine who's a therapist, and he turns out that nutrition becomes an important part of his practice, and he's bringing it up all the time with his patients. And I haven't had a chance to discuss this with him too much, but you know, more and more therapists are cognizant of and include as nutrition as part of therapy, right? Especially with overweight or obese patients. And so it's interesting how nutrition is making its way into these places where otherwise or once were not too much, weren't too prevalent. After all, food is not just food. And what I mean by that, food is not just food in terms of quantity or quality, but food is not just food in terms of our relationship with it. Different people, for different reasons, have different relationships with food, some of which are pathogenic in nature, and some of which are very healthy in nature. And I like to talk about it that way often, our relationship with food, which begins as you've heard me say on the show many times, in utero. When your mother ate, begins to shape and influence your relationship with food. Is it, given your background and training as a naturopath and as an educator for natural factors, I suspect that nutrition is central to your practice. It's almost like a tabernacle, if I had to guess.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, first and foremost, that's one of the main areas that we tackle, because that's your foundation to health, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big part of my initial intake. And, in some cases, I'll ask patients to record what they're eating for 2 weeks so that we go through it. And for the most part, yes, there's food addiction and things like that, but a lot of it is just, people just don't know, right? So people think that they're having a really good, healthy diet,
Mm-hmm.
and they truly believe that what they're eating
They're-
is, well, you know what? I'm following all the food guide, and I'm getting all the food groups, and
They might
if
be.
I'm
That's
having,
one of the symptoms, denial of
Mhm.
addiction, being in denial. So, I have a healthy diet. When you look at their diet, you shake your head and say, what planet are they on, right? They're in denial. Yeah, I'm sure you've had that happen to you, right?
Mhm. Well, it's also a big problem that we also have here in Canada is that we have, and I don't know if you have something similar in the States, but it's we have something called the Canada Food Guide.
Canada
And
Food
it's
Guide.
and it's very, very outdated. You could probably look it up online, and they've talked for years about changing it. But the Canada Food Guide is sort of the standard of, this is what you should be eating every day. And at one point years ago, I don't know if it's still like that, but they would say, okay, well, you should have at least 5 or 6 servings of grains per day, and they have little pictures of what those look like, and you'd see a picture of like bagel or a loaf of bread or
Oh my.
those types of things. So people that don't know any better, and they might go online. They're like, okay, well, I'm trying to eat better, or I want to make sure my diet's on track, and they look at the Canada Food Guide, and that's what the Canada Food Guide says. Okay, yeah, I'm supposed to be having like 5 or 6 servings of grains a day, and they see pictures of bread. And
Well,
bagels,
it's funny.
and
It's funny you say this. I'm at a website for the Canada Food Guide. Grain products, males. We're talking about 51 years of age and older. 8 servings. Females, 6 servings of grains a day. Wow.
Oh my goodness, 8 servings.
Yeah,
So now you
that's what it's saying.
understand why
Yeah, that's what it's saying here.
problem with overweight people.
And then vegetables and fruit, I have no problem with that. 8 to 10 for males, 7 for females. But grains, 8 servings a day. No, that's a bit much. We come back. We'll turn to your the theme that you wanted to explore today, and we'll get into that as well. And we invite everyone, each person listening and watching, that means you, to please call and join the conversation. And you can watch the show, too, live at letstalknutrition.com, as thousands of people do. And we'll be back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Thanks for stopping by today. My guest is Dr. Marita Schauch, and having a conversation with her in the first portion about food addiction. It's an intriguing concept, but if you suffer from it, it's intellectually it may be intriguing, but emotionally it can be very intense and haunting and problematic. We'll shift the theme. But the one point I wanted to make, one final point about it, if you read Michael Moss's book, Salt, Sugar, and Fat, you become abundantly and keenly aware very soon in the book that the food companies believe in food addiction. They have more scientists, food scientists working for them than they have support staff. It's unbelievable. PhDs and MDs and any other kind of doctor or expert in nutrition and food and diet and nutrition. And they believe in the concept. And that they manipulate salt, sugar, and fat in ways to get you hooked on the food. Read his book. It's worth a read. He's a good journalist and he's a good writer. Salt, Sugar, Fat. As I said, Dr. Marita Schauch is my guest, and she's an educator for Natural Factors. She's a practicing naturopathic physician in Canada. And Canada's an interesting country with respect to how it thinks about nutrition, dietary supplements, the laws that it has. They can be pretty strict, But nevertheless, and Canadian companies such as Natural Factors have to jump their regulations, go through those hoops, and then they have to get the product into the U.S. They got to go through the FDA. So Natural Factors, it's like having to cross the border twice. Check your papers, so to speak, which is good. Makes for a better product, makes for a better company, and better in the end for the consumer. Dr. Schauch, welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. What did you have on your mind today that you wanted to share with the listener and the viewer of the show?
Well, I thought it's kind of perfect because we were talking about food addiction, and then I was talking about this patient of mine, and one of his underlying issues as well that he was coming in with was he has an underlying thyroid imbalance. And so then I thought that would be a really good theme to continue with, because I wanted to talk about thyroid disease just because I have a ton of people that come in, both men and women, more often in women, that, have mostly sluggish thyroid, so low thyroid versus hyper. But it also plays a large role with cognitive functioning and obviously metabolism and weight management and temperature control. So, I mean, it plays a big role with a lot of other health conditions and health symptoms.
Here, my question is this, maybe it's more than one. What is the relationship between the thyroid and diet and nutrition? And diet, I don't use diet and nutrition as synonyms. Diet is the food we eat. I use the word nutrition generally to get at metabolism, metabolizing of food. How is the thyroid related to those two concepts? In other words, does the thyroid influence what we eat and how we metabolize? And is what we eat and how we metabolize influence the thyroid?
You're absolutely correct. I mean, it goes both ways. So if we have a sluggish and low thyroid, if our thyroid's not working optimally, then that in itself is going to affect how we break down and metabolize carbohydrates and fats and proteins, because that's what our thyroid gland does. But if you switch it the other direction, if we're eating a low nutritious diet, full of, refined sugars or refined carbohydrates, then that in itself has a huge impact on the health of the thyroid gland as well. And there's more and more information coming out linking, for example, I don't know if the listeners know about Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune thyroid condition. But there's a lot of information that's coming out linking, thyroiditis, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and gluten and wheat and gut microflora and, leaky gut and those types of things. So, you treat the gut and you treat the nutrition portion, then the thyroid works better.
Hashimoto thyroiditis, you alluded to it being a autoimmune disease. Please explain to the listener and the viewer what that means, that it's an autoimmune disease.
So Hashimoto's is a condition whereby the immune system of an individual, it's an autoimmune thyroid disease. So what autoimmune means is that the person's immune system doesn't recognize its thyroid gland as itself. It recognizes it as like a foreign entity. So essentially what happens is that it starts attacking its own thyroid, which slows down the production of its own thyroid hormone, and then, results in like a low, sluggish thyroid. So the thyroid's not functioning as well.
So antibodies see the thyroid as this giant antigen and begins in the body, the immune system begins to attack it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the same as, for example, rheumatoid arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis, same thing, is a autoimmune disease whereby the immune system attacks its own joints, causing inflammation and arthritis. Psoriasis, same thing, autoimmune disease. The immune system attacks its own skin, causing, itchy skin or red raised patches, or sometimes it even bleeds. So these are all forms of autoimmune diseases, just like Hashimoto's thyroiditis is an autoimmune disease. It's just attacking a certain part of the body.
And it's not as well understood as we think why this happens. They're not experts are not really sure as to why this happens. Why does the immune system lose the inability to distinguish between self and non-self? I mean, your thyroid belongs to you; it's part of your body. But the immune system is saying, no, it does. No, it's not. It's a foreign agent, and it's an antigen, and I need to destroy it with antibodies, and I'm going to set about to do that for you. They don't understand why that happens necessarily, do they?
Yeah, I mean, autoimmune diseases, and I'm seeing a lot more of them over the years, and they are complex, and we don't really have all the information. I think we're still trying to figure out, all the different facets and causes of why this is happening. But I mean, I can think of a few at the top of my head. I think, yes, it's an imbalance in the immune system. Is that caused by the food we eat? Probably. Is it caused by environmental toxins? Yeah, that's probably a cause too. Is it stress? Is it adrenals? Is it
hereditary?
Hormone disruptors? Is it hereditary? Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of different factors that come into play.
What about environment?
She alluded to that. Environmental.
Yeah, environmental toxins.
Like toxins,
Okay.
chemicals, household chemicals, industrial chemicals of one sort or another. And it's
preservatives in our food.
It could be any number of
GMO, GMO corn syrup. Like
it's amazing how much we know about human anatomy, biology, and whatnot. But there are so many questions. Doctors, or when you ask them questions, sometimes they say, "I don't know. We don't know." That's an honest answer, and that's okay. But there's still a lot to learn, a lot of room for improvement.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce exclusively on Amazon.com.
In my anatomy class, of course, you eventually get around to the thyroid, of course. And the thyroid gland, so you know what we're talking about, where it's located in your body, it has the shape of a butterfly, literally. It's butterfly shaped. And it sits in the front of your neck. and it has two lobes, a left and a right, and it's connected by this, what they would describe as a narrow isthmus. And it weighs about 25 grams, sizable, and it sits in the front of the neck, and it lies against and around the front of the larynx and the trachea. Gary's going to pull up an image of it. And the thyroid cartilage and is just above your Adam's apple. So that's where it is. That's where it's located in your body, and that's what it looks like. It literally does look like a butterfly. It's and it has such great implications for your health and wellness. This organ, and it's an endocrine organ, so that means that it produces hormones. My guest is Dr. Marita Schauch. Dr. Schauch, welcome back. Sometimes are women more inclined or have a greater propensity for thyroid cancer than men and thyroid disorders generally?
Yes, statistically, women do typically have they're more prone to thyroid diseases, especially hypothyroid. So
hypo, overperforming, rather.
Underperforming, yeah.
Right, so they have a problem gaining weight. When the thyroid is removed, they give the patient, there's a tendency to gain weight.
If you have your thyroid removed?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So people that have a low thyroid, or say their doctors recommended that they have their thyroid removed because of thyroid cancer or thyroid nodules or whatnot, often those people absolutely need to go on medication.
What do they give them?
Because they give them levothyroxine, which is known as Synthroid.
Synthroid. Does it work?
Yes, it does. Essentially what it is, Synthroid is giving the thyroid or giving the body what it's not producing by the thyroid anymore. So if you don't have a thyroid, you're not going to be making thyroid hormones. Your most common ones are T4 and T3, and essentially Synthroid is giving your body T4 hormone.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a number of patients that have thyroid issues?
Oh, yeah, I have a ton of them.
Mm-hmm. And how do you treat them?
Well, I do a very extensive thyroid panel with them, and I think depending on your health practitioner, I always recommend to my patients that just doing it's called a thyroid stimulating hormone doesn't give us the full picture of what's going on. So I often will add to that. I'll say, okay, well, if you've had that done, these are some other tests that are very important to have checked to make sure that your thyroid's functioning optimally. So to check your thyroid hormones, your actual thyroid hormones, so free T4 and free T3 are very important. And then I always like to rule out that there isn't an underlying autoimmune condition. So I also test for, or I'll recommend that they check with their medical doctor, their antibodies. So their thyroperoxidase antibodies or their antithyroglobulin antibodies are really important to check. So that's gonna rule out either Hashimoto's or Graves' disease.
I see. Do you ever work with a patient with thyroid issues and have them see a traditional allopathically trained physician as well, and you work in conjunction with that physician?
Well, up in Victoria, like where I live in Victoria, and mostly in Canada, most of my patients have medical doctors already.
I see.
That they are working with.
I see.
And then I work complementary to what they're doing. And what I'm finding nowadays is, we have a lot more openness as far as allopathic medical doctors, working in conjunction with naturopathic doctors. It wasn't always like that, and it isn't always like that with all doctors, but it's definitely shifting. and so medical doctors here in Canada can do, like, they can refer to a specialist, or they can refer for, X-rays and MRIs.
Sure.
That's not within our scope of practice yet.
I understand.
Yeah.
So, from a dietary supplement perspective, the thyroid is a very complicated organ, and I always worry about people self-treating. But from a dietary supplement perspective, is there anything that a person can do to, how can I put it, manage the thyroid, keep it balanced or homeostatic, or prevent it from going haywire, or otherwise keep it healthy?
Yes, there's lots of definitely essential minerals and building blocks that help the thyroid make thyroid hormones.
All right. When we come back, we'll get into that. I presume Natural Factors has some supplements directly formulated for the thyroid. Yes. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. I know that seems like an obvious question, but we always have new listeners and new viewers, so there's always this repetition. And it helps me too. We'll be back.
Almost 52% of men experience erectile dysfunction and benign prostatic hyperplasia. If you've had challenges with virility, sexual health, or low energy, Body Vigor's Alpha Extension may be the answer for you. Body Vigor's Alpha Extension can help revitalize your alpha male and extend your love. Our formula is one of the highest quality nutraceuticals available, formulated to support the processes involved in promoting a healthy male sex drive, energy, and stamina. Alpha Extension has 2 powerful herbal blends: Virilomax, which focuses on male sexual health, and T-Pump Activator, which helps balance your testosterone levels. Revitalize your alpha male with Body Vigor's Alpha Extension. Exclusively available on Amazon.com.
Welcome back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition, wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show, and whatever you may be doing. Maybe you're in Canada, British Columbia. That's where my guest is. Dr. Marita Schauch is with us today. Dr. Schauch, welcome back. By the way, I wanted to let you know that we can stream you when you call into the show if you so desire, and we can put you on the stream, and you'll be loaded up onto the platforms that stream live, the Let's Talk Nutrition website, YouTube, and Facebook. So if you're ever interested in that, let us know, and it only takes a minute or two, and Gary can do it. All you need is a computer with a camera, okay?
Okay.
Internet feed.
Yeah, that's all we need is an internet feed. We can load you up, and the show streams every day live. So, and we've appeared already on 5 continents. So, and we're averaging about 30,000 hits a day on the stream.
Wow, that's great.
That's about 1 million a month. And then, of course, we have terrestrial radio, which is our heart and soul. And we have access to about 20 million people, 22 million people in the different markets that we're in. So you let us know if you'd like us to stream you.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Yeah, you can wear one of your new outfits or something.
She's in Canada. She's probably wearing a parka.
Is it snowing today?
It's not that cold up here.
Is it snowing today?
No, everyone always asks me that.
Do you have dog sled in the back? What do you have snowshoes?
We don't live in igloos.
do you walk around with pocket heaters and stuff like that? No, just kidding. Just messing with you, Dr. Schauch.
I just want to point out it's going to be 90 today, and I'm wearing shorts.
What is the temperature? And where are you today?
Well, I don't even know what the temperature is. I mean, it has cooled off in the last week. Absolutely. So
30 degrees?
I'm trying to think Fahrenheit.
What's a centigrade?
Well, it's 12 to 14 degrees Celsius.
Celsius. Okay, Celsius, not in centigrade. Celsius. Okay. It's 53 degrees.
Yes, it's not that bad.
You think I'm that smart? That was a whisper in my ear that gave me that answer. Thank you, Stephen. I got there's a crack crew here, boy. They're not sitting around reading comic books. Natural factors. I know that I asked you that question. I knew the answer, but it's for the new listeners and viewers of the show. Natural factors does make a wonderful thyroid product or products. What are they? What do they do, and who should take them, and why?
Wow, there's a lot of questions you just asked me. So the thyroid product that I use the most often in my practice is called ThyroSense. It's by the Women's Sense line of products, and the formula consists of the building blocks of your thyroid hormone. So we've got a little bit of iodine in there, which is really essential for thyroid functioning. There's selenium, which is a mineral antioxidant, really important for thyroid functioning. And then we've got like ashwagandha, which is an Ayurvedic herb, which helps with the production and functioning of thyroid gland. And then a little bit of tyrosine in there too, which is an amino acid. It's a building block of thyroid hormone. So all the things that are in there are designed to help increase the functioning of the thyroid gland, so help boost the thyroid. So for people that already have a over-functioning thyroid gland, and you would know that, like if you were hyperthyroid, you should not be taking anything to boost your thyroid further. So the formula ThyroSense is designed for people that have a sluggish or low thyroid only.
Does it say that on? Is there an indication of that on the bottle so they would know? Or
yes, it says to help boost and increase thyroid functioning.
Mm-hmm.
So it's for low thyroid.
Mm-hmm.
I get the question a lot when I'm doing when I speak or lecture or whatnot, I get the question about, what if I don't know if I have a low thyroid? Can I still take, iodine or selenium or products like ThyroSense? And usually how I answer that is depending on what their symptoms are. So, if somebody says, I'm tired and I can't lose weight and my hair is thinning and I'm cold all the time and I have constipation and dry skin, these are all common symptoms of low thyroid functioning. To take a product like ThyroSense is not going to do them any harm. It's just going to make sure that, the body has the tools to make sure that the thyroid's functioning as best as it can.
Yeah. 877-897-8255 is a toll-free number. You can call anytime you want. That's toll-free, coast to coast. Call outside the continental United States. It's 813-636-8255. That's 813-636-8255. You can use that number within the U.S. as well. Can men take the product?
Yep, absolutely. There's nothing in the ThyroSense formula that is specific to women. So because some men can get thyroid issues as well, that, yes, they can definitely take the ThyroSense.
Women who are perimenopausal, menopausal, or postmenopausal, how does the thyroid get implicated in menopause?
So the thyroid doesn't do well with major hormone shifts. So, for example, typically when women are pregnant, typically the thyroid will take a hit and will become, not in all women, but some women, they'll notice that their thyroid becomes low. And so when they're pregnant, because of the drastic hormone shifts. So in some cases, women need to go on Thyroid or they need to take extra support for their thyroid. So when women hit perimenopause and menopause, well, this marks another major hormonal change that's naturally, happening with everyone. But again, the thyroid can, in some cases, most often, can be affected where it just can't keep up with, all the other hormonal changes that are happening, like estrogen, progesterone, testosterone are all declining. So that's another reason for why the thyroid can often get sluggish or implicated in women that are going through perimenopause, menopause, or even post.
Will it help with mood swings?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the thyroid gland is not just, doesn't just take care of like metabolism and things like that, but it plays a huge part with brain function. So yes, like irritability, depression, anxiety, those can also be symptoms of your thyroid not functioning.
When we come back, we'll have the LTN Health question of the day. We'll go to Mary in Brooksville.
The latest trend.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce exclusively on Amazon.com.
Here's the LTN health question of the day. If you have the correct answer, you can win a $25 supplement gift card. This is all good. And it deals with, we're talking about the thyroid. And I'm talking with Dr. Marita Schauch about the thyroid. And at one point I mentioned anatomically its location in the body. And that is the question. Where is the thyroid located? A, is it located above the kidneys? B, by the gallbladder? Or C, in the neck? Where's the thyroid located? Above the kidneys, near the gallbladder, or in the neck? Right answer, $25 supplement gift card. Call this number.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255.
Dr. Schauch, welcome back. So ThyroSense is a product to be taken by people who have underperforming thyroid, yes?
Correct.
Okay. Is there any thyroid supplement to take that just keeps the thyroid healthy? Or is there any food to eat or just to keep it healthy and functioning properly?
Well, there are a lot of, like, as I mentioned in the ThyroSense product, some of the building blocks of the thyroid gland are like selenium. So, eating things like Brazil nuts are really high in selenium. So, I have a lot of patients that just like having nuts and seeds as good fats, but then that's going to also just keep the thyroid healthy. And then, of course, iodine in the form of, as far as diet, in the form of like seaweeds and dulse or nori. That's another thing that can really, really help the functioning of the thyroid gland. And then tyrosine is also one of the amino acids that's the building block, and that's found in, some legumes, like specifically adzuki beans. So, including those types of things in your diet can be very useful. I've also seen just the trend and just what we were talking about before with regards to Hashimoto's and autoimmune diseases and gut conditions.
Yes.
I've noticed a big trend with like gluten and wheat and underperforming the underperforming thyroid gland. So that's something else I talk to people about.
Okay.
If they do have thyroid issues, to keep that low.
All right. Let's go to Brooksville, Florida. Mary, welcome to the show. You had a question for Dr. Schauch.
Hi. Yes, I take Armor Thyroid, which is a prescription. I'm wondering if I could switch, over and take the more natural thyroid that she was talking about.
The ThyroSense product, Dr. Schauch?
Thyroid. Yeah. I'm sorry. I just caught the end of your show.
It's okay.
I actually would not recommend that because what you're taking right now is you're actually taking, like, Armor Thyroid is providing your thyroid gland or your body with both thyroid hormones, T4 and T3. And so for you to just take that away and start taking the ThyroSense, it's not the exact same thing. So what I should mention before we end the show is that, the ThyroSense is not a replacement for your thyroid medication. So if you're on Synthroid, if you're on Armor, anything like that, you can't just stop taking that and then replace it.
What's
with
the difference between What's the difference between Synthroid and Armor?
So Synthroid is just your T4 hormone, and Armor contains both T4 and T3. And in some cases, some Armor will even contain like a little bit of iodine, and some, and I think some of them even contain a little bit of selenium. So yeah, it's important for people to realize that there's no thyroid hormone in the ThyroSense. It's just giving you the vitamins and minerals to support the thyroid. Mm-hmm. So it's not a replacement for medication.
Have you had your thyroid removed, Mary?
No. I also do iodine. I do some iodine drops. I guess that's okay. I haven't really told my doctor, but I've just been reading a lot about the iodine. Mm-hmm. That's okay, I guess.
Well, you should always, you should always talk
with your doctor.
You should always talk with your doctor when you're doing those kinds of things, when you're self-treating like that. But did we answer your question?
Yes, I'm hoping that someday maybe I can. Yeah, I don't like taking prescriptions. I like my supplements.
I understand.
Yeah. So, but I do work with my doctor.
Good. Well, we're glad that we could answer your question, and we thank you for listening to the show. We appreciate your listenership. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
It's our pleasure. Let's go to St. Petersburg, Florida. A lot of Florida today. Lori, what's the answer? Where's the thyroid located? Is it located?
That would be. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
It would be in the neck.
That's exactly right. It's butterfly shaped, and that's where it's situated, right in the front. And you want a $25 supplement gift card. Do you have any particular question about the thyroid that you'd like to ask, or no?
Actually, not. I was just on my way to work and turned on the radio.
All right. Well, have a good day at work, and thank you for listening to the show.
And thank you for educating us.
It's our pleasure to do it, man. We love doing this. Dr. Schauch, welcome back again. So there you go. It is about educating. There's so much to learn about human anatomy, about human health and wellness and well-being. It's an inexhaustible topic. And, of course, our perspective is nutrition is a primary pathway and driver for good health. Are there any foods that are harmful to the thyroid?
Well, aside from the most common ones that we mentioned, processed foods, junk foods, refined sugars, and then as we discussed earlier, just the theory behind like wheat and gluten. Those would be the biggest ones that I would stay away from, but that's not specific to the thyroid. That's for just general good health. Right?
Sure.
Not a lot. We shouldn't be eating processed foods.
I know. They are addictive. Where we started today with food addiction, I need to address that topic more on Let's Talk Nutrition, food addiction. One, because it's interesting, and there's a lot of confusion surrounding it. And I'll talk about it more as we go forward. Natural Factors, go to naturalfactors.com. You will find a description of ThyroSense there, and it's sold in North America and fine health stores throughout North America and other countries as well. Dr. Schauch, thank you so much for coming on to the show, and as the caller said, to helping to educate us about the thyroid today. Thank you so much for doing that.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
You do the same. Your health is your wealth, and your health is the wealth of those that care about and love you. See you tomorrow.
Is getting a good night's sleep a